Russell Carter. I used to live at, born and brought up at 25 Auburn Street. I wasn't born there. I had a brother that was born there, so he's a real Readingite. And the rest of us came from someplace else, or most of us anyway. I was born in Melrose, Melrose Hospital now, Melrose Wakefield, I think it's called. And I lived at 25 Auburn Street, and this was my 5th and 6th grade here at this school. The year I probably started, I was born in 1925. I probably was 6 when 1931 when I started the 1st grade, so 31, 2, 3, 4. So it was probably 34 or 35 that I came here for the 5th grade.
Do you remember any stories of what happened to you when you were here at school?
No, it's, I was in the chorus. I had a good voice for a young boy, good singing voice. I can't think of the teacher's name that was in charge of the group. It was girls and boys, but we did a lot at the time. One time we went to a place where WEEI, the radio station, broadcast us. And so that made the Reading Chronicle that we were singing on the air.
Now, how did you get to WEEI?
Well, they came out to wherever this place that we went to. 2 or 3 teachers probably drove us there in their cars. And I have no idea where it was, because it didn't mean anything to me at the time. But that was when I was singing. When I got to junior high school, Walter S. Parker Junior High School, I aged a little bit and I lost my voice, my good singing voice. So by the time I was in the 9th grade there, I wasn't in any singing group because I wasn't that good. Which I kind of miss because I like that. To this day, I'm a musical type of person. And
do you remember anything about the old building here?
But the old building, no, I got in the fire department years later, and when I was at home off duty when the building caught on fire in 1957. But in those days, the permanent men all responded to the fires if they weren't working. So the minute I heard about it, I came down. So I wasn't one of the first firefighters in the building, but I came in, I had my gear, I took it off. We used to store it on the engines, and the engine that my gear was on, I took it off. That would be the helmet, the coat, and the boots. And I put that on, and then I came into the building, and I came up this right-hand stairway. Of course, you entered the building in the front door at those days, and went up. They had a ladder that went up in the attic. Basically, the fire was out, but I assisted them in moving things around to be sure that there were no charred remains and such as that. So it didn't amount to much, but it was a little bit. I could say I worked at the fire. Didn't amount to much. And then the next day, at that era, I was kind of the unofficial photographer for the town of Reading. And anything that went on that they wanted photographs of, they contacted me. I happen to have been a photographer in the Navy in World War II, so I had very expert training and that type of experience, so that I was a very good professional photographer, although that was not my job. So I went and got my 4x5 speed graphic camera with a black and white 4x5 negative, and I took this set of photographs, at least this is what I kept out of them, of the damage that was done in the different places in the building. This would have been the next day. Basically, these photographs are of the room where it started in the closet. It started in the closet. There was some type of a flammable fluid, probably something that was used in a printing process or something, because that's a closet that, for the type of printers that they used in those days, they kept it in. And there was a young fellow that was like a semi-custodian to the building, and he had been in the closet previously, so probably he accidentally knocked it over. He didn't intentionally do it, that's for sure. And these photographs show the closet that the fire started in, and it shows the charred area on the floor underneath the closet door that goes across the floor and goes underneath the piano that was there. And of course, when the fire started, they moved the piano out, so you can see where the charred floor is under the piano from where so there was no doubt as to where the fire started. There's no doubt about that at all. And this young fellow, they questioned him, but it wasn't intentional or anything that. It was an accident, perhaps callousness, but that can happen to anyone. And the fire spread pretty much, although it could have been a lot worse. The fire department did a very good job in putting the fire out. At least that's what many people said, because we always thought we do a good job anyway. But that was the consensus at the time. And that's about it of the story of the fire.